Welcome back to True Spoken. I'm Joe Statzer, the Executive Director of the Butler County Republican Party, and True Spoken is brought to you by the Butler County Republican Party, produced by True Spoken Productions. Hey, and True Spoken is exactly what it says. We have a lot of people on here, state, local, national leaders, talking about the truth. We talk about issues, we talk about their personal lives, we get to know them on a different level, but mostly we just want the truth out. Because these days, people are trying to take our liberties. People are assaulting our freedoms. And what they want you to do is just enjoy your life and not pay attention to that while your liberties slowly get taken away from you. But we know that's what's happening. It's so important to be informed and know the truth. Like George Washington once said, truth will ultimately prevail where pains are taken to bring it to light. Absolutely. We have to be educated. We have to know what's going on. So this episode, we have an important guest on tonight, County Commissioner Don Dixon, who's been our County Commissioner since 2007 and actually served a term before that. And we want to talk about local issues because really local politics is where everything starts. The local issues are what really impacts our life the most. So we want to talk to the trustees and the councils and the boards of educations and the county commissions because that's where your voice is really heard. That's where our local values are taken up, and that's where we can kind of protect what really is ours. So local issues are important too. So we're going to have Senate, we've had Senate candidates, we're going to have some big names on here, but local issues are so important. Remember that there's a lot of mandates that come from the state and national governments, and we are a federalistic society, which means we have a national central government. We also have state and local government. And sometimes they'll give us mandates. Sometimes they'll make us pay for them. They mandate things and they don't give us the money to even take care of it. That's maddening. But the local issues is where we can get our voice heard. Recently, Joe Biden, President Joe Biden, actually attacked Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida, our Republican Governor Ron DeSantis, for not carrying out his mandates on the pandemic and telling DeSantis if he can't get on board with Biden, get out of the way. And Ron DeSantis had this reaction. Quote, Joe Biden suggests that if you do not do his lockdown policies, then you should, quote, get out of the way. But let me tell you this, if you're coming after the rights of the parents in Florida, I'm standing in your way. I'm not going to let you get away with it. He went on to talk about how it's important that Florida stays consistent with its own rights, that the people are able to stand up for their own rights, and that he will not let the federal government come down there and get in the rights of parents or people that want to live the way they want to live in a democratic society. Look, the decision of local governments are the ones that really impact our daily lives. We must stay informed. We must speak out. We must continue and stay true to our local beliefs. Please, get out there and find out what's happening in your school district. If critical race theory is being taught in your schools, if taxes are going up and you don't know about it in your township or in your city, anywhere in Butler County or anywhere around Ohio. Remember what John Jay said. He was an American founder and patriot. America belongs to we the people. It does not belong to Congress. It doesn't belong to special interest groups. It does not belong to the courts. It belongs to we the people. We are the people. We must stay informed. We must stand up for our rights. In a moment, we'll be back with Commissioner Don Dixon. Welcome back to True Spoken, and we are honored to have Butler County Commissioner Don Dixon on the webcast. Don, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate you having you.
My pleasure.
Great. We've known each other for a long time. It's good to have you on the webcast. I think we're going to have a great interview tonight.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
So, Don, you're a lifelong resident of Butler County, and your family has a long history here with a lot of successful things. So if you would just start off with giving us a little bit of the Dixon background and history, kind of set us up for that.
Well, thanks, Joe, for having me up here.
Absolutely.
I enjoy it. Yeah, we started. Our family started pretty basic. I mean, we were not in the upper class, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
We were working class. My grandfather, he was a welder at Wright Pat, and then he became a farmer. And then my dad, he was a builder. Got to be a builder. And then so we kind of grew up with that, and then we veered off and got into the long-term care business, nursing home business, the therapy business, everything kind of associated with the long-term care for people. And we've been, our first facility is almost 60 years old.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so we've been around a while. We have 3 facilities now, probably somewhere between 700 and 1,000. We call them customers or residents. We do all levels of care. and we still do some building. We do commercial and some residential, and it's just a little mix and match, and it's a little bit of everything.
So you built a lot out of very little. So congratulations for that. Good success story there.
Butler County's been awful good to us, and that's one of the reasons I came back. Is I truly believe. I know everybody says it, but it's once you've started from the bottom and got up to the middle, you realize that you owe Butler County something. It's been very good to us. Very good to the Dixon family.
Well, good. That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
And you have been a two-time commissioner, now for almost 15 years. Again, for your second time. Butler County Planning and Zoning Transportation Improvement District, Fairfield Township Trustee. Where? And you mentioned that you came up from somewhere. Is that where you kind of got your gusto for public service?
Well, yeah, that is exactly how it happened. I basically started at the bottom rung and started working, building my career, and along the way I got a lot of different lessons, and some of them were very expensive, and they weren't at Miami University.
No, real life university. Yeah, those can be tough.
Right. So when you have everything you own invested in a business, and you see things that are simple that could really help, and it gets caught up in the bureaucracy and and just gets lost, and you see it lost in these other companies and stuff, and the companies that got Butler County. I keep always saying this to everybody they talk about economic development. I said, look, you can't forget the people who got you here, and they want to run and chase companies from California and Michigan and Florida, and they forget about the good ones we have here. So I think that's important, and we focused our development as much on retention as new stuff. And then of course for the new stuff, we don't give away a lot. They used to, what will you give me? And Butler County in the last 10 years has turned its financial plan around, and we don't have any general fund debt. And I think we're the only county I know of that's like that. And we have the highest bond rating you can get from Moody's, and we have we have an equal amount of cash in reserves as we have in our 1-year general fund. So. And we've reduced some senior tax. We reduced some tax levies, and we pushed some back, and so we're trying to be business friendly, and we understand our residents. That's a lot of money. So that's.
Well, I mean, if you're a Butler County resident watching this, and a lot of our viewers are, sometimes you don't realize how great we have it in Butler County. This is an amazing county, even through the pandemic. Even the downturn, we did pretty well. You became a commissioner again in 2007. Since then, highest bond rating, as you mentioned, among the lowest tax rates, county rates, which you did mention. And this is not a guy that likes to brag, but you've had a lot of success since 2007, and the balanced budget. I mean, you've mentioned keeping it local. Is that your biggest secret to success? And I want to mention Cindy Carpenter and T.C. Rogers are also part of the commission. So this isn't just a Don Dixon production, but the three of you. But I know you've been around the longest, and you've done a great job. Is that how you achieve those goals?
Well, it's you're right, Joe. It's not one person, and certainly it's not me, just the one person. But there's two other commissioners, but there's many other office holders. And many other county employees that may help manage the budgets and the activities of the county. So I think if you look at Butler County and you look at all of the elected officials and how they handle their budgets, and our employees that are at the top level dealing with the everyday business, you're going to find a pretty top-notch organization. And it's not built around one person, and it's the prosecutor, it's the sheriff, it's the treasurer, it's the auditor, it's I can go on and on, but it's everybody, and they all pitched in when we did this personnel plan, and we did pay for performance, and that pay for performance plan has been in now for probably 8 years or something, 10 years. And it's literally saved millions and millions and millions of dollars. I mean, really, truly. I mean, I'm not talking about 5 million. I'm talking it's probably 75 million. And everybody's seen, we've got more of an equal playing field and pay plan, and everybody, you know, understands where it's coming from, and we're in it for the long haul. And we got a plan. We won't have to, if the economy goes terribly sideways or down, we won't have to lay a bunch of people off because we've got a plan for that.
And we made it through the pandemic last year. And as somebody who's, I've mentioned before, I'm in local government as the chief deputy of an office. It's amazing to see the teamwork. You mentioned the pay for performance. That not only did that save a lot of money, it creates a great motivation among our employees. So we were, our office in the courts was one of the first offices to team up with you. It was such a great idea, and now everybody does it, and everybody works together so well in Butler County. I don't know that you can say that with the majority of counties in Ohio, and hopefully you can. But I know in Butler County it works.
Yeah, I think we're unusual. We're a little group of elected officials that are on the same track and on the same pathway and have the same logical ideas and concepts.
Does it come from, I guess people think, let me kind of say it this way, people think big government, we were talking about this a little earlier, but small government's where most of the things happen that impact people's lives on a daily basis.
True.
And you look at it that way. Is it the conservative point of view that works better than maybe a liberal, or just the fact that you know the people, and like you mentioned earlier, you know the local economy? I mean, is it kind of a mixture of all those things?
A little bit, but mostly it's the conservative people that we have in the organization. You know, it's we're all pulling in the same direction. My dad was a township trustee for 27 years. I grew up in it. I literally they talked about it at breakfast and at supper. I mean, we had, you heard it all. So I become pretty familiar with how government works. And then I was a trustee for, I don't know, 8 years or something. And that's some basic experience on the basic needs of what works and what doesn't work for government. But I found that, look, the less government, the better government. And I always use a theory that the old saying it when somebody says, I'm from the government and I'm here to help, you probably got a problem coming.
That's absolutely true.
And we try to do something we try and work against that in Butler County. We try to be helpful. We try and be deal makers, but we're not deal breakers. But we're not going to have our taxpayers supplementing the developments of these big companies, and give them a tax credit here and a tax credit there, and they don't pay this and they don't have to pay that, but the guy has to pay his taxes 100% on his house. So now that we've got Butler County right-sided and we got the financial situation solid and under control, I keep telling all of our people in economic development and around it that deal in that field, look, when some big company comes in and they say, what can you give us? That's probably not going to work for Butler County. Because by the time they make it to the commissioner's office and we're sitting across the table, me and the guy that runs the big company, and he says, what are you going to give us? I said, hold it. You're just backwards. My first question to you is, what are you bringing to us?
Cool. Yeah.
First, it has to be a service that we need, that works with the rest of the companies around us. It's not, we don't go out and offer big incentives to bring a company in to compete against a company that's already been here for 50 years. Now, that's not fair. If we give you $50 million, build a new building, and you come in, and this guy over here 2 blocks away has been doing the same thing for us for 50 years in Butler County. He can't compete. He cuts his price. He can't. Taxpayers subsidize it. It's no deal. So Butler County is a little different, and they, we get a lot of. I get a lot of feedback from the people who want to come and build here. They say that we're not aggressive enough. I said I believe we're aggressive enough for the taxpayer.
Good.
But look, if you think that you're going to offer us up a couple $100,000 or something a year to make up in our revenue, but I got to give you $10 million down the road, it's not going to happen. We don't need you.
Yeah, good.
Right. So we're in a unique position where they're all fighting and scrambling and giving it away. we're getting a fair amount. We're getting given the businesses a fair deal, and then we keep the schools funded and our levies funded, and keep them from going back to the taxpayer for more money. So when they say, well, it's not really, it really doesn't hurt the schools that much. It does hurt. Every penny hurts. And I've been trying since I've been back to find out a way to lower our property taxes. I don't know if it's ever been done. But,
that's a big
but we're crunching some numbers right now, and we may be able to do that.
Good. Well, that's fantastic.
Without raising taxes.
Well, that's even better. It's a conservative form of government, and
Yeah.
I can testify you've done that and implemented it and done very well with it. And on the other side, though, you've done a lot of great things here in Butler County, and it's working well. Some people, every now and then, they'll come in and they kind of have maybe unfair expectations or impossible expectations that they put on the commissioners. That's happened a little bit this year, where people come in and you could do this and you should have done this, and you can't do. I mean, there's Ohio Revised Code. There's law in the state of Ohio what commissioners can and can't do. Do you want to speak to that for a moment? Or
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement, Joe, and we have been criticized about it, and we'll continue to be, I'm sure. But those folks out there, there's some folks out there that have the commissioners way overrated in what they can do and what they can't do. We're guided and required to follow the Ohio Revised Code. We can't legislate anything.
Right.
Okay. So when someone comes up to us and says, you need to implement this, you need to implement this policy, that's not us. If it says in the Ohio Revised Code, you shall implement this policy, then you can bet we'll do it. But when the prosecutor's saying, and everybody else understands it, that you can only do what in the ORC, it's pretty simple. But some people twist it and turn it like anything else, use it for a political advantage, and try and make it appear that something's different than what it is. And look, I've been criticized by some of the best. I'd take it. I mean,
part of the gig.
It's part of it goes with the job. That's what I tell them when the new folks come in, elected officials come in, I say, hey, you guys, you need to toughen up.
No thin skin here.
Yeah,
I think the sheriff often says this isn't for sissies. Well, you're right. This is, people will come at you, but you got to just do your job.
That's his famous saying. And I've always found that, put it on a table, tell it the way it is. If they're mad, they're mad. And that's the way it works.
Well, you mentioned that the prosecutor cleared it up. I mean, he came to one of your meetings and said, this is what they can do, this is what they can't do.
Right.
And, he was on our show. Mike did a great job, Mike Moser. So I think he cleared it up.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, we got to know a little bit about Don Dixon, the commissioner and the public servant. You got something you want to tell us about you that people maybe doesn't know, or they don't know about Don Dixon?
There's no exciting stories here.
Okay. All right.
I learned early on that you had to work for what you wanted, and you don't spend what you don't have. And if you want something, you save until you can pay for it, or find your way to make sure that you can pay for it long term. So there's no real success stories here. I mean, I'm just a local guy who's been very lucky and blessed, but very lucky, I think, to be in Butler County.
Well, first of all, that's a great lesson, a life lesson right there. What you just said, it's the conservative values that I know you, and you have that, you espouse that. So appreciate that, if nothing else. So finally, just talk maybe for the future of Butler County. Are there any exciting projects on the horizon, or maybe share what is coming up next for Butler County? Is there anything that you want to kind of get out there to the viewers?
Well, there's a lot of stuff happening in Butler County, but unfortunately, most of the work that we do is behind the scenes in negotiations and things like that. A lot of counties or entities will run out and say, we got this guy coming, and then finally the company figures out that, hey, they're talking about me, and that's not the way it works. But if I've done anything, I hope if I've done anything that makes any sense, is to keep Butler County under the radar, keep it plain talk, tell it the way it is, plan for the future, and when you're successful, don't go around bragging about and trying to make other people look bad.
Good. Well, there's growth everywhere. I mean, from Liberty Township to Ross to Hamilton to the townships, everywhere you look in Butler County, there's growth, and that comes a lot from great leadership in Butler County. And this is one of the three commissioners and a guy that's been the driving force for a lot of great things. Don, I really appreciate you being on.
Thank you, Joe. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, you're a great guy. Thank you.